So over the last couple weeks, I've had a bunch of friends sit down and chat with me, and a lot of them have complimented me on how disciplined I was and how motivated I've been. And I think it's kind of ironic because I actually consider myself to be one of the laziest people I know. And I think it's because of that I really make sure that I stay focused. It sets off this weird contrast where I know that my authentic self is something, and so I help push it to be the person I want to be. To give you a bit of context, my last month has been a little bit hectic. I've worked 4 days a week. I streamed 2 days on top of that. Then I had a gig every week, and on top of that, I've been making YouTube videos twice a week. Basically, I work more or less 6.5 days a week. That's a little bit when you think about it. I thought it'd be cool to put together a little collection of things that I do to help me along the journey of self-mastery. Or rather, here are 5 ways that I kick myself in the butt. Just a heads up, if you stick around till the end, the last tip is probably the thing I think will help you on your journey to self-mastery the most. So the first and foremost rule is probably something that I consider to be the most underrated piece of advice, and that is to know yourself. If you don't know what kind of person you are deep down, how are you going to get ahead? If you're planning for success, it's really important to know the kind of person that you're working with here. If you know your work habits, your personality traits, and all of your pros and cons, you're gonna have a much better time navigating your success route. For instance, I kind of have ADHD when I work, where I'm always jumping around. So I think it's really helpful for me personally to both shoot and edit simultaneously. I think it keeps things fresh for me, and I always have something new to do. I just use this as a little tool to stay on task when I know otherwise I'd be distracted very easily. I can't overstate it enough. You need to know who you are. So the second thing I got from Jordan Peterson, who is an accomplished professor at U of T, to say the least. He has this method of looking at yourself like you're someone that you're in charge of. Basically, to parent yourself. He talks a lot about how people think that they inherently own who they are, and therefore they're always in charge of themselves, when we know that's not true, because if that was the case, you would tell yourself to do something and you would just always do it. That doesn't always happen. I think this is a good framework to stay on task. This is the perfect way to give yourself both some leeway, but hold yourself accountable. By parenting yourself, you're more likely to hold yourself accountable and ultimately get the job done. And that's really what's important here. So the next little tidbit I have comes from Gary Vee, who is a major advocate for just doing things and enjoying the process. He teaches that if you stop conceding to fear and just go and you post and you grind and you push forward, you will get a product that you're inevitably happy with. Nothing is perfect at the start, and it takes a long time to build where you want to be. So if you can enjoy the process and just get into doing something, the journey will be rewarding in and of itself, and it'll help you get there. This is definitely one of those lessons that you need to keep in mind, because nothing worth having is immediate. So I, like so many others out there, procrastinate heavily. Something that I think helps a lot is to use procrastination as a tool. That's not to say that procrastination is something that you should be doing, but if it's something you catch yourself doing, it's worth channeling that energy into something more effective. What I mean is, when I feel the need to procrastinate and switch what I'm doing, often I do something that is kind of similar and related that actually helps me in some way. For instance, maybe I will take 5 minutes to stop, have a mental break, and watch a YouTube video. If it just so happens that I'm watching a video on a topic that I'm learning about, or some related useful information, then it all works out. So the fifth and final thing is going to be setting a habit. It is so important to set a schedule or a habit of some kind and stick to it. If I really want to be in control of my life, I'm going to take this thing called willpower and throw it out the window. Honestly, it's for suckers. If I can tailor my life to do what I want, it makes everything easier. Here's an example that I think fits really well. If you're the type of person that struggles with healthy eating, it would just make so much more sense for you to not buy junk food than to have it around and constantly have that temptation. The benefits of hacking your life to only have what you deem as essential and useful is very important. Now, I'm not advocating for you to live a life that is super plain and boring, but if you really set your heart on something and you know you want it, make your life easier and cut the things that you don't need out of it. So there you have it. 5 ways that I personally use to help me on my journey to self-mastery. Let me know what you think. If you have any tips and tricks that you use, put them down below. If you made it to this part of the video, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Please feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and comment. It really does help me. We just hit 75 subscribers, and I'm pretty happy. Thank you guys for joining me on this journey. Until next time.